mean, first and foremost, from the bottom of my heart, I can't even express in words how sorry I am. I have expressed how much Michael is with me in every decision I do, and he is my fuel to do better and provide back. My heart goes out to them every single day, and I really hope there was some healing along this process. I am still working to even just forgive myself for taking away someone so special to them. You know, in our court hearing, Michael's mother said, you know, everybody has a right to drink, everybody has a right to drive, but nobody has the right to drink and drive.
And police make an arrest in a deadly hit and run over the weekend. Investigators say 26-year-old Alyssa police say Forster hit a pedestrian along North Broad Street early Sunday morning. Newington police helped track down Forster's SUV. The victim's name has not been released.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Connecticut woman who hit and killed a father of two and then left the scene of the crime. Now, this crime happened in 2020, but she wasn't sentenced until just 2 years ago, 8/30/2022, and already up for parole. I'll unpack it at the end.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Alyssa Forster, 441345.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Alyssa Forster, 441345. She is serving a sentence of 12 years, executed suspended after serving 66 months, followed by 3 years probation for evading responsibility, death, and illegal operation of a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 26, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows she has completed SMART recovery, voices, people empowering people, parenting, biohazard training. She's a janitor and she's currently participating in anger management with an anticipated completion date of September 27, 2024. Utilizing the woman's risk need assessment, the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the low range. Ms. Forster, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you. This opportunity happening this soon was very unexpected. I have learned and grown so much in the last 2 years. I have done more than most people do in their entire bids. It is very difficult to talk about all of the good I've done and all of this change, knowing that I'm capable of something so horrific. And it still breaks my heart every single day that Michael is no longer here. I'm sorry. But I'm a mom now. I did all of the work that I needed to do to be that better person. And I have enjoyed so much sharing my story here with these women of why our choices are so important. And all I want to do is continue that in the community upon my release. I think especially with alcohol, it's a legal drug and it's such a social norm for young people to get involved with the wrong circles and drinking and driving. And I think we need more conversations from people who've been in the worst situation of it to change that around. And I really am dedicated to doing that. I do not want Michael's, death to be in vain. And he is my purpose for wanting to provide back for everything that I've taken. My son is going to be 2 in October. I never thought I would be a parent, and he has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I never want to leave him abandoned or with questions. I do everything here, call him, write letters and have visits and build that bond from this point of view. And I just want to give him that mother who is there and is not going to leave him. Unfortunately, some things cannot be fixed. They'll always be carried. And this is something that myself and the victim's family are going to have to carry with us for the rest of our lives. But it is imperative that I never stop doing the work to make sure that this never happens again. And if I can prevent other people from making my same mistake, I will feel like I'm fulfilling what I was meant to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Foster. We will be asking you some questions, and at the end of the questioning, we will deliberate about your case.
Okay.
All right, panel member Page?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Ms. Foster, in reviewing your file, I did see that you were extremely remorseful for your actions. I even saw where you said, had I stopped and called 911, perhaps I could have saved his life. I also read in the PSI the impact that your actions have had on this victim. And just when you spoke about your son and how important he is in your life, this is the same way that they felt about their child that was taken away because of your poor decision making. I also appreciated your acknowledging that you had, prior to this even occurring, you've been drunk before and driving. And in your opening statement, I heard you talk about alcohol being legal, but it's legal, but it also there is a requirement that we drink responsibly.
Mhm.
That's the key point.
Absolutely.
And when you start drinking and you get behind the wheel of a car, everyone is at risk. And I say all of that to say that this could have been avoided, especially in this day and age where there's so many different ways of you getting home after drinking. For me now, I honestly won't even, I mean, a glass of wine and I'm asking someone to come pick me up. But that's neither here nor there. I appreciate the work that you've done in the facility, and I encourage you to continue doing that work. In terms of your treatment, with this being an alcohol-related offense, I really struggle with your not taking an addiction service program. So which program are you on the wait list for? The Tier 2 or the Maryland Baker?
So currently I am on the wait list for Tier 2 and should be starting in October. I met with the addiction services counselor just last week to discuss our thoughts and how we wanted to go with what would be best for me. Through discussions with multiple counselors, with the AA and the Smart Recovery and all of the personal development groups and the schooling and Defy and everything, they thought I was doing a really great job at taking my recovery and addiction into my own hands while I wait. Through conversations after the last 2 years, I believe they are considering dropping my addiction score down. But this conversation had just happened, like I said, last week, so I don't think they had done that yet. I had told them from the beginning, though, I was willing to do whatever they thought was best, either way.
Okay. So your end of sentence date we have today is in 2027. And so your eligibility is not until next February. And I, for one, would not feel comfortable releasing you prior to your taking that program. Like, I am happy that you're participating in these programs, but I think an addiction services would at least help us justify our decision for granting you discretionary parole. There are no guarantees. I'm just saying that it will help us with our decision. It sounds like you really have taken this incarceration seriously. You understand the severity of your actions, and hopefully that's enough to deter you from doing it again. However, we need the program to kind of seal the deal, I think. So for me today, I would not be in support of your early release. I know that you're in the anger management program. I know you're taking anything that you possibly can, but you said you're on the list to start when, in 2 weeks?
October is the next session for Tier 2.
In October, okay.
And it's about a 2-month program.
So what would you say to the victims, just out of curiosity, if they were listening to this hearing today and wanting to know your thoughts about what occurred? What would you say to them in terms of an apology?
I mean, first and foremost, from the bottom of my heart, I can't even express in words how sorry I am. I have expressed how much Michael is with me in every decision I do, and he is my fuel to do better and provide back. My heart goes out to them every single day, and I really hope there was some healing along this process. I am still working to even just forgive myself for taking away someone so special to them. You know, in our court hearing, Michael's mother said, you know, everybody has the right to drink, everybody has a right to drive, but nobody has the right to drink and drive. And that has stayed with me over these years. And that's why my main goal is to share with other people why that is so important. You know, yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. I would continue working on myself to make those words resonate, just not with just you, but other people, and sharing what you've learned through this. And I heard you doing that in the facility in your opening statement, and I hope that you continue doing that because it's important work.
Yeah.
I'm done with my questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, panel member Page. Mr. Cole?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you talk to me about Smart Recovery?
Sure. So Smart Recovery is a program geared towards all types of addictions, whether it be gambling or alcohol or whatever it may be. Instead of AA, which I also do take, but instead of AA, where it's very almost spiritual based, Smart Recovery is more you doing that footwork that you need to do. So yes, your higher power is with you while you make these changes, but you need to be the one putting in the work, taking the classes, you know, bettering yourself. It's
safe to say it's cognitive based.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been in it?
I believe at least 5 months, 6 months, perhaps.
And how often does that meet?
Once a week.
And like stretching back over maybe since you've been involved in it, what kind of topics come up during the course of a meeting, and how do you address them?
Yeah, so we go over a lot of coping skills, typical life things that happen, and how to manage our emotions and our reactions to things so that we can approach things in a more clear-headed manner. We've gone over taking the courage and the effort to remove ourselves from toxic people or situations, and doing things that are good for us. We've gone over how important it is to reach out for help if you feel like you are going to pick up a drink again, or, you know, a drug again, you know, to reach out to those connections you make through the program. It's just been really big about support and really thinking all of our decisions and feelings through.
So the thought of a drink or drug can certainly be a response to a situation that you're facing.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What Smart Recovery does is what?
Replaces that with healthy coping mechanisms and responses to things. So if something really tough were to happen in my life, I'm not like, oh gosh, I need to go get a drink. I'm like, oh, okay, let me go for a run, or let me go contact this family member, let me go swimming, whatever it may be that makes me feel good on the inside, so that internally I'm helping myself, no longer looking for external healing.
So it's basically getting an understanding that, you know, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be, that I might have thoughts in response to life situations, but
Yeah.
coming up with alternatives.
Yes, alternatives is a perfect word for it. You know, because addictive mentalities will stay with you. You know, it's not that it ever goes away, but what happens is you grow and develop as a person and you no longer fall back into those. You know, as somebody, like I said, especially with alcohol, I feel like people don't realize how dangerous and awful they're being with it, because it's just so many people are, you know, and it takes, unfortunately, like this worst situation to happen for multiple people to kind of wake up and be like, okay, like this is not okay. Like this should not be a normal thing that people do. There was so many decisions leading up to that night that could have been avoided in this whole situation. And so that's why I worked so hard with all of the different interpersonal skills and coping skills and all of that, so that I have all the tools I need, that I know how to handle myself. You know, I'm not going to let external things affect me.
Okay. How many people on average are in a smart recovery group? Like on a weekly basis?
Theories, I would say anywhere between maybe 10 to 15.
Okay, and does everybody get a chance to talk?
Most of the time, yes.
And is the group led by an incarcerated person, or is the group led by counseling staff, or?
A social worker at the facility.
So the group is led by a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that smart recovery is available in the community, as well as, like you had said, that you're interested in AA.
Yes. Yep. The counselors here have already provided me with a list of all the AA locations in my areas, and I have the list of smart recovery locations as well.
A lot of those are web-based as well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
All right. That's really the only questions that I have.
Thank you for that. That's good. All right, I do not have any questions for Ms. Forster. I did acknowledge that, as Ms. Page pointed out, she was extremely remorseful. She did turn herself in on the warrant, but she was very cooperative when arrested initially as well. All right, so panel member Page.
I appreciate the work that Ms. Foster is doing, and I would encourage her to continue on a positive path. But through our discussion, it's apparent that even the addiction services people there in the facility still feel as though she needs to do at least a tier 2 program. So I would support that and have her come back, have her take the tier and come back after she's completed it.
Okay, Mr. Pohl.
I'm in a different place. I would support parole. What I just went through with smart recovery is a way more in-depth and connected piece than tier 2. You know, what's really important when we're doing things like this is cognitive based decision making types of things when it comes to substance use. And having been involved for 5 or 6 months in smart recovery, which is a group, as she confirmed, is led by a social worker.
Right.
There is an addiction services program. So I would, I think she's in a place and done the work that I would support her parole on her parole eligibility.
Yeah. So I would also support her parole today. She's not eligible until February 2025, which we've already talked about. And there's still plenty of time for her to do the tier 2 program within that time frame as well. But I also do look at all that she has done to date, including school. She has no disciplinary reports, no prior criminal history. And it does appear that smart recovery is, as Mr. Pohl broke it down, a an addiction services type program led by a professional. And I especially appreciate that it can be continued out in the community under that same mechanism called Smart Recovery. So today I would be in favor of granting her parole. As I said, she's not eligible till February. I'm sure she'll continue to do Smart Recovery and the Tier 2 program if it becomes available to her prior to that. I just had no alcohol and no contact with the victim's family.
I have mental health and also no driving.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pohl, anything else?
No.
And I am dissenting.
Right, okay. So in the matter of Alyssa Foster, 441345, there's a motion to grant parole on or after February 26, 2025, with the following stipulations: no alcohol, mental health evaluation and treatment, no operation of a motor vehicle without the parole officer's permission, and no contact with the victim's family. MC is the victim and WC is the victim's family. So do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Nay.
So it's a majority decision, Ms. Foster. Keep up your recovery work until your parole eligibility date comes available.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much. Thank
Ms.
you.
Forrester, have you connected with CCAR?
So currently there is a program within the facility where they're doing training for recovery coaches. So I did write
But-
about that. Yeah,
but
I'm
a
waiting
coach
about
for-
that.
A coach for you.
Right.
Oh, I've heard about it, but I didn't know if it's in here or just out there.
I would
Yeah,
on the way out. You're doing well. So
Yeah.
I would add that to your
Yeah.
toolbox.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
You know, watching this, I think you totally forget that she killed a man. That she killed a father, she killed a son, she killed, well, a father of two, actually. This was a strange hearing. I mean, like all 22 and a half minutes of it, and what did we just watch? It blows my mind. I mean, at least there was one parole board member that thought, you know what, maybe she should finish stage 2 of the drinking program. You know, the reason that she's in prison, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should make that a requirement. I mean, we've seen other parole boards say, well, you can't get paroled until or on condition that you complete the XYZ program. They don't have that creative thinking here in Connecticut. Is that too or are we just too sheeple to understand? It's whatever happened to at least serving time as a punishment? You know, this accident happened. She got into a car, which didn't have insurance, by the way, drove drunk, hit a man, left him on the side of the road to die, tried to get away with it. Police found her vehicle, got a warrant to arrest her, and then she turned herself in and still blew on the breathalyzer 2 times over the legal limit. But you wouldn't know that by watching this parole hearing because, I don't know, they didn't ask her, why did you leave the scene? They didn't ask her any question. Oh, we read a letter about that you sent in, and that's enough. That's enough for them to just judge completely what it is that she's thinking, if she's even being honest with herself, any of that, you know, because who really cares? She starts off her speech by patting herself on the back. What are the words that she says? Her opening remarks is, I've done more in this short time than others will do through their entire bid. You know, the only thing you said right there is short time. Yes, short time it was. You know, she waited, the judge waited 2 years, or the system 2 years to sentence her. She got out on $10,000 bond. So the accident, I don't know why I'm calling it that. The hit and run, vehicular homicide happened on 8/23/2020. She was sentenced almost 2 years to the day, 8/30/2022. 66 months. Maximum release date of November 29, 2027. 5 years. But parole eligibility after 2, which she got even before completing the program. The program she does complete is Smart Recovery. I don't know, voices, people, empowering people, parenting, which we'll get to in a second, bio training, and she's a janitor. But she's accomplished more than most people do in their short time. She's so great. Here's something that I picked up on that really just rubbed me the wrong way. That kind of like cemented the way I feel about her in this hearing. And again, this is just my opinion. You might have your own. You might have seen the hearing and said, wow, I thought she was really authentic. You know, at least she called her victim by his name, Michael. It breaks my heart that Michael is no longer here, as if like Michael died by some type of cancer, you know, that breaks your heart that he's no longer here. What? Anyways. While she's out on bond, we find out that she decides to bring a baby into this world. And the baby's turning 2 in October, which means she would have given birth about a month before her sentencing, the sentencing date that she would have known was coming. So what you're telling me is that you bring a baby into this world knowing that you're about to be sentenced, and you're going to try to convince me that you didn't do that to manipulate the system? That you didn't do that to say, Judge, look, I'm a newborn mother. If your attorney didn't use that in the argument, then call me a Mandoo. And you had the audacity to say, well, I took parenting and I never want to leave my child again. I never want to abandon him. You, by design, abandoned your child, put the child through the trauma of having to be pulling away by his mother a month after being brought into the world, after trying to use him as leverage so the judge wouldn't sentence you to prison. Don't try to gimmick me. And then that would have put, I don't know, I suppose the mother in some type of perspective when she gives her speech at sentencing. You can drink all you want, you can drive all you want, but you can't do both those things while you're sitting there maybe holding your 1-month-old as a manipulation tool. Who intentionally gives birth right before sentencing? Come on. It just rubbed me the wrong way. She shows up smiling and like giggling and you know, not one tear is shed, no tissue box in sight. Imagine killing. I mean, I don't want to even say imagine that word, but wouldn't you have some authentic emotion about it? No. She actually uses the words, I hope that they found time. What was it? I hope there was some healing in the process. Healing? What do you mean healing? You don't heal from that. And why the parole board would not, it's such a simple answer. You know, even if you want to parole her early, again, she can't get paroled until February. Why not just say on condition of completing the program? Why not? You know, is there a tier 3? I don't even know. Complete tier 3. Complete a substance abuse program. Like, what the? They didn't even want to make it mandatory that you couldn't drive. No, you can only drive with your parole board permission. No requirement for a breathalyzer thing in the car. No requirement, like nothing. It's just get out there and whatever. Then there's the next problem that I have, which is, you know, we don't see the victims here. Now, it's possible the victims didn't heal enough to, or have totally healed and they're okay with, you know, but what I think is more likely is that the system messed up and didn't notify the victims or didn't notify them in time, or the victims got a letter, but because Richard, you know, as she had said, she was completely surprised that she had the hearing, and Richard follows this stuff very thoroughly, and they often change around the docket the day of, the day before. Like they might send a parole notice a week before for legal requirements, but then the way that they move the things around on the calendar are just completely, if it's the way that we see it in terms of the disorganization, then it's possible that the victims didn't get a chance. And we have seen other parole hearings where there were, like the baseball team one, where the guy catfished 8 kids that he was managing, and I simply refuse to believe that there's a chance of there being 16 parents and not one of them showed up at his parole hearing. So I think it's a problem with Connecticut notifying victims. Remember, this was only 2 years ago that the victim's mother gave a speech at the sentencing. And in addition to that, there was a petition that was put up by one of, I believe, the relatives of the victim, because she was not initially charged with a vehicle homicide. The charges were quite ridiculous, actually. The initial charges were evading responsibility of, no, that wasn't even it. It was illegal operation of a motor vehicle, and illegal operation with, it wasn't vehicle homicide. So someone raised a petition on truth.com that said, this is crazy. They need to charge her to the fullest extent of the law. And that petition got 4,000 signatures. So you're going to tell me that someone who would take the energy to create a petition and get the awareness out there and get 4,000 signatures also wouldn't show up to the parole hearing? It's hard to believe. And remember, it's just 2 years after sentencing. So, but she shows up to the parole hearing. We don't see a tear. I don't really see remorse. I thought that it was, you know, it was better than some that we've seen. And then you might have the argument, you know, if you want to have the argument, go ahead. You might say, well, Mandoo, if she can't cry, you want her to fake it. You'd rather fake tears. You know, maybe it's some people that can't cry on point. It's not, but she really is feeling remorse. I mean, she did say Michael's name like 3 times, which is quite unique. But I don't know. To me, it just seems like the system again failed a lot of people. The idea that you can send her out there and without even completing a substance abuse program stage 2, which I think, I don't believe the sex offender programs do anything, but I do believe that programs about substance abuse probably can do something if someone puts in the effort to get the tools to be successful on the outside. But to actually have a parole board member say, no, there's better stuff on the outside than in the inside, that's messed up on a lot of levels. So I'm pissed off. Anyways, there you go.
I don't want to make up no excuse. I just, like I said, I just had clutch, you know, everything, poor me. And, you know, it was just a way of not feeling or nothing. And it's just been like one excuse after others, like poor me. And it's not like that anymore. You know,
just let it go. Yeah.
Right.
Just let it go.
Right.
So
I don't want to sit here and lie and tell you something that's not true. I don't want to be like that no more. I don't want to be dishonest. I don't want to. So yeah, that's the truth. My daughter was young and the baby was upstairs, and you know.
You left a 9-year-old in charge of a 1-year-old. What do you mean you came late?
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Connecticut woman who just can't seem to stay out of trouble. Now, there is one thing that is really important, that at least I believe is important for these parole hearings, and that is for the ability of the parolee to have insight into their actions, to take accountability for what they have done, and to truly seek out how they can grow and hopefully not repeat the same mistakes and habits that have gotten them into prison. Now, we're going to see a parole hearing where I think She does the exact opposite of that. Now, is it going to affect the outcome? We're going to have to find out. And with that, let's jump in.
Awilda Aaria,
Okay, and your inmate number?
239260.
Thank you. This evening, consideration of the parole application for Awilda E DOC, inmate number 239260. She's serving a sentence of 7 years, suspended after 2.5 years, 3 years probation for attempted larceny 2, conspiracy for larceny bid, and violation of probation, risk of injury is not an offense. As of the day records, blood parole eligibility of August 17, 2024, there is no victim of the case. There's an offender accountability plan that has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed the Tier 2 program. Utilizing the PHS needs assessment order, they've got an overall score for a civic falls in the moderate range. Ms. Echevarria, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should grant parole. Maybe yet.
Well, I'm so nervous. Because this time I've taken, I can't even put it into, I'm sorry. I'm different. This time I've been here before, but this time I'm different. I'm not the same person. I'm out of my own way. I've always been in my way. I used to blame being molested at a young age. I used to blame my mother being an alcoholic, and that was always a crutch. And it's not anymore. It's not. I take responsibility for my actions. I'm not a little girl anymore. And my kids, I don't want them to go through what I went through.
Okay, is that everything you wanted us to know? We're gonna move into the questions we prepared.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll begin with my colleague, Mr. Sosowskis.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
So I was reading through your answers in the interview with the parole officer, and you said not to take accountability for some of your crimes. Said that the rest of the stealing of the money in the checks was because of falsified tax returns, and your probation violations were because you forgot about probation during COVID and denied the risk of injury charges. It's just a lot of the same kind of thing about you not your fault. You know what I mean? And none of this is your fault. Yeah.
No, it's totally my fault. It's totally my fault because I was supposed to be at probation. I knew I was supposed to be at probation. It wasn't important to me enough at that time because that's what drugs does. You know, everything becomes, you know, more important. Nothing is more important than drugs at the time. You know, my mom had just recently died. She died. My father a week later. So I wasn't even, you know, even now I'm able to continue, and because I've taken grief and loss, I'm doing stuff. But yeah, all of it, my fault. I knew better than to go into the, you know, no matter what his actions were, I wasn't supposed to do what I did. But
okay.
In my mind, that's what I convinced myself.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're saying that today. So let's get a little bit more into like the situation with the tax guy. So the person that drove you was just a friend giving you a ride?
Yeah, just someone that I met in the program, methadone program.
She wasn't involved in this situation with the stealing the money?
She knew. We were talking about what happened between me and the tax person. And she knew what I was, you know, but it wasn't really her fault, you know, like it was my fault.
Did she know before you went in there, or that was, you told her?
Yeah, she knew. What she did was she called for the tax guy. I was in the back, and she opened the door and makes a ring, bing. So
she tried to distract him. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you guys knew in advance that there might be an opportunity to steal some money from him when you went there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, what happened to the checks, all of the checks that were missing? There were other people's tax returns that had nothing to do with any of this, or this guy or anything. These are just people that went and got their taxes done. Where did their tax returns go?
They all got returned. well, I didn't return them. I guess the IRS did a thing. I honestly threw them away. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I threw them away. I don't want to sit here and say I did something, but you know, it was, again, me just being inappropriate, me taking things into my own hands. I should have just called. The IRS was called and stuff, but I should have waited for the law to take care of it. You know, and I didn't.
Well, that's the thing, right? You're talking about two different things, and what you did is not justification for what happened. And it seems like you understand that, and you did it yourself without me having to prompt you, which is good. And, you know, I haven't heard the truth when I was reading all this until now, you know, so I'm glad that, and it shows, you know, some change in you, that you're able to, you know, identify the mistakes you made in the past, honestly, what really happened. And then, you know, so that way you can move forward in a positive way, knowing the kinds of things that you shouldn't be doing. I mean, just the continuous lying and making excuses and telling different stories, it's just not going to lead you. It's not going to lead you anywhere positive. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, I mean, why were you not taking care of your requirements of your probation? You're here at a parole hearing today, so this is important to us because, you know, what we don't want is for you to violate and then come back, you know? So when someone violates their probation by not responding to them and technical violations, all these things that you could have just, you know, I think you was it drug tests and stuff? What was going on?
I was on drugs. I don't want to make up no excuse. I just, like I said, I just had clutch, you know, everything, poor me. And, you know, it was just a way of not feeling or nothing. And it's just been like one excuse after other. It's like poor me. And it's not like that anymore. You know?
Just let it go. Yep. You
Right.
just let it go.
Right.
So I see some other charges in here. Conspiracy at larceny 5th degree. That looks like it happened in July of 2023. So like last year. Tell me what happened there.
Well, somebody I know got there was a drug dealer that told my associate, someone that I was around, that if he could go to the store, and I had the vehicle. So I was like, okay. So I walk in, and then I figure out that it was boosting. So I'm like, I put everything back and I just walked out. You know, I didn't leave him. My thing, I should have left. I should have said something, but I didn't.
So you drove the car and participated in a shoplifting with other people, and that led to that conspiracy.
Another person drove us, but it was someone I knew. I told that person to drive us.
Okay, I understand. So there were multiple people involved in that, added to this conspiracy charge.
Correct.
What town was that in?
Southington.
And where are you from?
New Britain.
So just right down the street.
No, it's about 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
It's close, though. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some other things. I see you completed a tier 2 program, right?
Yes.
That was probably important considering your background and everything. What did you learn from that?
Exactly, almost everything. I was able to write a letter to my brother, who he passed away, but he's the one that initially his actions led me to start going through the fire escape, because I didn't want to be at night. I didn't want to sleep there. You know, every night I would have to, deal with it. So I was able to let that go, forgive him. I was able to, a lot of things. I was able to work on me. The person that was leading the group was no nonsense. Either you participated the right way or you did the work or not. He was, she was a good, instructor. And just everything. I learned accountability and how most of everything is, like I said, everything has been all in my head, like the poor me's, making excuses. I learned that even though all this happened to me, It doesn't give me the right. It doesn't give me the right to break the law. It doesn't give me the right to continue to hurt my kids. You know, they didn't ask to come to this world.
Where are your
So-
children now?
With their father.
Okay. And you have some kind of a plan to reunite with them?
Yes. I call them every day. I speak to my kids every day.
Okay. So what's the situation with their father? You're on good terms with him?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. You know, in tier 2, you probably should have talked about some of this, like a relapse prevention plan. So this is important for you to be ready for whenever you get out, right? So that you're not back here, right? Because you don't want to keep coming back. You have a long criminal history of all kinds of things and violations of parole, probation, all kinds of things. So what's your plan to stay sober in the community based on your past history with drug addiction?
I was clean for a little while, and that was when I was taking care of both my parents. My mom, I had to pull the plug on her on the 29th day. My dad died not even 7 days later of natural causes, but he died in my house. And my husband was cheating, so when everything happened, I didn't have anyone to call. I was in my own head, and I still had that behavior of, you know, I'm gonna go get something to not feel anything.
I get all that what happened in the past. I want to talk about what your plan is for
So
when you go out. Go ahead.
So this time the difference is I'm gonna go to program like NA. I want to do IOP. I want to continue to have, because it's something, if I feel something, if something comes up, I need to be able to call someone and say I need help.
Well, that's what we're talking about, your support system. Yeah. So you said you want to go to NA. Are you doing NA meetings there?
Here, yes. But out there, yeah.
Did you have you identified a location that you can go to for NA meetings?
Yes, and on Arch Street, New Brand.
Okay, so you know of a place, that's good. What about the IOP you talked about? Have you identified?
Yeah, CMHA. I think that's the thing.
All right. And so do you have a sponsor now?
Not yet. I haven't been in this path, you know, so I'm excited, you know, getting to know someone that's been clean for a while. You know, like, behaviors are contagious. I believe that. So, you know, what I see and who I'm around with is going to make a big difference in what I do next, I believe.
Can you identify or think of a risky situation that might put you in a situation that you would use again, or do something that would violate your parole? Have you thought about that? The things that you need to avoid when you get out?
People, places, and things, all of it. There's no, everywhere I go, there's gonna be drugs.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So it's just not being where I'm not supposed to be, you know, not being around people that I know that are not doing what I want to do. You know, I never believed in that people, places, and thing. I felt it was just something they say in NA or AA all the time, but it's not, it's real. It's real, because I believe with all my heart that behaviors are contagious. And I just don't want to stand in my own way anymore. It's been me the whole time. It's never, I'm over, like, it wasn't my brother molesting me. It wasn't this, it was me. I've been standing in my own way for years.
So let's talk about where you're going to live and work. What's your plan for that when you get out?
Well, I'm going to be with my son. He's 22. I'm gonna stay there. I want to go back to work. I've done CNA for a very long time, and until I find a location where I can work at, I know like Kenny Homemakers and Companions are hiring, and the Hartford homemakers are also hiring. But even if I have to go to McDonald's, until then, that's where I'm going. I'm just gonna go get a job, keep myself busy. be with my kids. My son, he's gonna be 3 years old. He has a speech impairment. So I wanna go to, like he does birth to 3. I wanna learn because there's a lot of stuff I don't know. His sign language, I don't know. I'm not gonna know how, so just stuff like that.
You talked about CNA. Do you know about your certification? Have you looked into it recently to see what's going on with it?
Well, it's probably expired by now. I've been here for a while. But what's good is that most agencies, they have their own, like it's not gonna be a CNA, it would be a PCA, personal care assistant.
Okay.
So, it might not be where I wanna be, but until I get there, it's somewhere to be.
Okay. So you were on probation and you violated for one of these charges here, and you failed probation 5 times, like for supervised release in the past. So do you have a plan to successfully complete your supervision, and follow the rules?
Yes, I'm gonna go. I don't wanna come back. I'm not coming back. Whether you guys deny me or I go, I'm not coming back. I can't do this. I've been here so many times and I've never, ever been broken. I was broken down to nothing and I had to build myself up from nothing. So no.
So what kind of supports? Tell me about who's your supports out in the community that's going to help you with all of this?
I have my kids. I have my sister. My ex-husband, even though he's a great support system, he's the one that helped me stay clean for a very long time. When I was like 8, 9 years, I stayed clean. I have my current boyfriend. And like I said, just meeting new people. My other siblings, I went through a little issue when my father first passed away. They were like step siblings. So right now they wouldn't be good for me. So those I have to rebuild some relationships. But it's getting to know different people. That's what I need. Like people that are in some of my family members don't understand how I felt and what drugs does. And it's always like, so I wanna, and they don't wanna hear it. They don't wanna hear it. They just wanna see it. So.
Yeah, I mean, your criminal history and violations of probations, you're a multi-state offender. There's a lot of stuff in here that's not good for you, and it's concerning to me. One of the things I noticed on here was that you've had 41 disciplinary reports across all your incarcerations, at least in Connecticut. And this time somehow you managed not to have any. So.
It's hot. I'm not the same person. I know it's hard to believe. And I know you probably get this every day from you do this as it's living. I get it. But I'm different this time. I'm different. What I want is different. I want to continue to raise my kids. My daughter's 15. She tells me, she writes me every day, I need you. I'm just different. I want more. I love me now. And I'm just different. Everything about me is different.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions. I'm going to pass on to my colleagues and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Chance.
Thank you. So you denied admitting the risk of injury.
Yeah.
Can you just speak a little bit to that?
I was supposed to be with my kids and I wasn't. I came late. There's nothing else I just
And what were you doing?
I was waiting for somebody to go buy drugs. I don't want to sit here and lie and tell you something that's not true. I don't want to be like that no more. I don't want to be dishonest. I don't want to, So yeah, that's the truth. My daughter was young and the baby was upstairs and, you know,
You left a 9-year-old in charge of a 1-year-old. What do you mean you came late?
because I was gonna meet them in the corner. So my neighbors think that I crossed a street and I was over there. I was upstairs.
But just imagine how you'd have felt if you just acknowledged that you did leave the 9-year-old with a 1-year-old, as opposed to saying, you know, you're denying it and
Right.
you know, make an excuse.
Right.
So you said your longest sobriety was 14 years and you relapsed when your parents died. So we all lose people. What happens when someone else dies in your family? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna grieve it. I'll have people, I'll have connections. I didn't have anyone who wants to hang out with a drug addict, who wants to, you know, my family does, you know, no one, everybody was just, you know, like I took care of my mom for 6 years and my other, and no one was there for me to help me when my father needed to go to the doctors. When he no longer had upper body strength, no one helped me to take him off the bed. But yet, when it all happened, it was like their life never changed. My life changed because I was the one with them day and night, making sure my mother made it to dialysis on some days. She would over medicate. I had to go every morning, give her meds, her nighttime meds. So to them, it was like nothing. To me, I took it it tore my world apart. It was like, it's like they took one of my lungs or I couldn't breathe. I just didn't want to live.
So at the time, your parents needed help and you couldn't figure out if they had insurance where to get help for them.
No, I had insurance. The ambulance would come once in a while. You know, they come. I mean, I had all that.
Okay, so I'm talking about the PCA work or the CNA work that you do.
Correct.
So when people are ill, okay,
Yeah.
you can get someone to come in and help.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you had thought of getting that kind of help for your parents.
I did. Because I worked, you know, I was working. So I had someone 4 hours. So 4 hours is not much. And then I had my mom somewhere. So I would go to work and come and I did it and I would do it all over again. That's not what I'm saying. I just did. I handled it wrong. After they passed, I handled it. I did everything wrong. I couldn't.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. So what you did wrong was you didn't seek assistance for them. You chose to take it all on yourself.
Well, when my father, when they said he was, he had dementia. So he no longer was eating. He wasn't, you know, so I had to, I didn't want somebody.
Let me stop you there because aren't there places that, you know, your father could have gone to get help? I'm just trying to understand because you're going back out saying that you want to take care of your kids. I want to make sure you know what you have to do.
I did it.
You can't do it alone.
I did it. I had an aide. I even put my dad in a day program. It's called Daybreak. I had that, but I took care of them to the T, and I would do it all over again. What I'm saying is that after everything was said, I took care of them. Everything, they passed away really close to each other. And what I did was ran to drugs instead of, you know, like going somewhere, instead of having a connection, somebody, I ran to drugs. Because that's
so what are you going to do the next time someone that you love dies?
I'm gonna go seek help. At this time, I'm going to NA. I'm gonna find a sponsor. I'm gonna say I need help. You know, I'm always a caretaker, so I'm always trying to take care of everything and everybody, and I've never taken care of myself. Never. So I'm gonna take care of myself and my kids, because if I'm not okay, my kids are not gonna be okay.
Okay. And you're gonna go live with your 22-year-old son,
Correct.
and is he gonna be responsible for you, or how is that going to work?
Well, he's my son. He's gonna go work. His life is not gonna change, and neither is mine. My plan is go to work, save money so I can get my apartment, so I can have somewhere for my other kids to come and see me. As just a stepping stone for something, better for me.
Okay,
I mean,
you identified where you're gonna do your outpatient
IOP.
and IOP, and you know where you're gonna do for substance abuse outpatient treatment.
Right.
And that's gonna be in New Britain?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, we're done with the questions. We're gonna discuss. Please just give us a minute. Mr. Sosowskis, you started.
Sure. So, Ms. Echevarria, has a very concerning criminal history and previous violations of community supervised release. However, she has displayed some change today. She's completed a tier 2 program. I was able to explain how she benefited from that. In addition to her release plan includes, attending outpatient treatment, going to NA meetings, and she was able to identify the locations where those are at her community. She has stable, sounds like, housing situation set up. So, although I am concerned about her history, she has done well and has not received any disciplinary reports, despite having in the past many. So today, I'm in a position to grant her parole.
Ms. Chance?
I would be in favor.
Okay, so I have mental health evaluation and treatment, no alcohol, stay away from the dollar man tax service, and a no contact with the victim, who is the owner of that tax business, Nadeem Mirza, especially because she's going back to New Britain and she has used him in the past over many years for her taxes. Did you have anything to add?
No, just no alcohol, mental health, and then the victim information. That's it.
Okay. So in the matter of Awilda E DOC, inmate number 239260, there's a motion to grant parole on or after today's date of November 15th, 2024, with the following conditions for your supervision. Please listen closely. You're to have a mental health evaluation and engage in treatment as deemed necessary. You are not to consume any alcohol. You are to stay away from the Dollar Man tax service at 3 New Britain, and you're to have no contact with the victim. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So Ms. Echevarria, you won't be going out today. You'll have to do a home visit with your son. But please understand your parole officer is a resource to you, somebody to help you be successful back in the community. So please stay in close touch with that person.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
It is a generous act because this is a very challenging set of facts to overcome.
It is.
This concludes hearing for Awilda E DOC, inmate number 239260. All right, you're all set. You'll get this in writing from us in a couple of days, probably by the end of next week.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Hey, what? I mean, she literally shows up and says, I'm growing up. I'm now going to take accountability. And then she goes and does what? Takes zero accountability. Excuse after excuse after excuse. It's nauseating. Holy cow. How can you possibly be rehabilitated? This is someone who, I'm sorry to say this, but I believe we are going to see them sometime soon in a revocation hearing. We're already coming full circle with a lot of hearings. Return ofs. Maybe I should create a Connecticut return of playlist like what we have a Mandoo one for Louisiana, because we are seeing a lot of inmates coming back 3 months later, 4 months later, 6 months later. It's like, okay, it's just a revolving door, right? You know, our date of our sentence was April 2020. We saw the same. Got a maximum sentence of 2 years, 6 months. So her maximum release date was November 19th, 2025. So she had like a year riding on this. And look, I mean, I don't know. I guess they just wanted her to have her special parole or whatever. But let me go through her crimes. October 31st, 2016. She gets arrested. And keep in mind, these reports only go back 10 years. November 3rd, 2016. So like, I don't know, 5 days later, she gets arrested again. Both are for possession of cannabis and whatever. 10/31, 2018. So it seems like she, you know, well, I guess she then was in prison. So 2018, she has risk of injury to a child, which, what above? I don't know. I left them. I was doing this. I was doing that. And you know, there's probably so much more to that report. I don't have info on it, but if you don't just get risk of injury to a child unless something happens, in my opinion. June 30th, 2022, attempted to commit larceny. And then finally, 10/19/2023, the larceny thing. I don't really know exactly what she did. There was like, it's hard to pay attention. She was just kind of really annoying to me to watch. I was like annoyed. Ugh. But they granted. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. What can you say? Apparently they thought that that she earned parole, and it's interesting. What should they say? Just keep her in for a year longer? I don't know. But there you have it. Just another wacky Connecticut parole hearing. And I wish I had more to add. I really don't. So I think we'll just end it at that. And with that, I'll let you go.
I was on drugs. I don't want to make up no excuse. I just, like I said, I just had clutch, you know, everything, poor me. And, you know, it was just a way of not feeling or nothing. And it's just been like one excuse after others, like poor me. And it's not like that anymore, you know?
Just let it go. Yeah.
Right.
Just let it go.
Right.
So
I mean, first and foremost, from the bottom of my heart, I can't even express in words how sorry I am. I have expressed how much Michael is with me in every decision I do, and he is my fuel to do better and provide back. My heart goes out to them every single day, and I really hope there was some healing along this process. I am still working to even just forgive myself for taking away someone so special to them. You know, in our court hearing, Michael's mother said, you know, everybody has a right to drink, everybody has a right to drive, but nobody has the right to drink and drive.